Hello and welcome to our next session. Come over here. For a change, I thought, why should I introduce the next session since we have an expert here? She is going to say all about what is to be expected. Stephanie, what do we have here on stage for our next panel?
Thank you so much for the introduction. Well, I'm Stephanie Scheller, and I am co-leader of the women network, Women Mobility. And we are thrilled and so excited to have amazing guests today with us. We have Futury, and they present the mission. And I cannot wait to introduce to you Charlie. Welcome on stage.
Charlie, if you want to, you can. Very good. Then we move over here, give you some space.
Well, Charlie, I don't even have much more to say because you are one of the major role and people here on the stage, and you have brought amazing guests with you. So all I can say is thank you so much for coming with us to this session and to be part of this whole journey with Women in Mobility. And this is your stage now. Enjoy.
Thank you.
Yeah. First of all, thank you so much for having us here today. Welcome to the audience. And as you can see here, our panel curated by Women in Mobility, and I have three amazing women with me here on stage today. So thanks again for having us here, and I think we can take a seat and start off into the topic, what we want to discuss today. So welcome all of you here at the summit stage at the IAA Mobility, but also for all the people joining remotely via the live stream. And as the conference this year asked, the IAA Conference, what will move us next? What we want to do today here at the panel is to provide you with some insights how we are answering this question and what our mission was, Mobility Be Urban, and give you some insights. But first of all, let me give you some background information about what is the mission, the program we're talking about. So the mission is a program run by Futury. That's us, and we are bringing basically together market leaders and established industry players with young entrepreneurial guys and girls, I have to say, on the other side to jointly develop new solutions to disrupt industries, and in this case, the industry is the mobility industry. We put them together in a 3-month program, incubator-like program to really develop not only new visions, but also prototypes and new business models in the end. So as you can see here, we gathered some quite interesting corporate partners, SEAT, who was the premium and main partner for the program, but many other partners out of the sphere of mobility. And on the other hand, we really set out a challenge globally and sourced talents and teams globally with their ideas how to disrupt the industry in the end. Within the program, and I need to switch to the next slide, we really aimed and tried to look at the topic of urban mobility holistically. So really we plotted kind of an urban mobility map with all the different parts that have to do or have an impact on urban mobility, how also cities function, how we move from A to B within cities. And then we set we took 3 viewpoints. It's consumer mobility, business mobility, but also logistics. So it's not just about moving people around, but also moving logistics around. And in this panel today, we want to find out why urban mobility is such an important topic for the whole industry, but also taking on the perspective of SEAT, the main partner. But then we want to find out about the 2 solutions that we have 2 representatives who developed the solutions here. Also taking a look into the journey in like how it is becoming an entrepreneur in the mobility sector. And afterwards, to all of you, we have a Q&A session. So please feel free afterwards to ask any questions you might have to the teams, to our corporate partner. And therefore, now the most important thing, let me introduce our panelists here. So from your perspective, on the left, we have Melanie. She's manager for media and digital marketing at SEAT, and she was also the project responsible and project manager for the mission Mobility Be Urban. And then on to the next. This is Teresa here, it's the third picture actually from Pacelo. She's co-founder and was participating in the program and really founded her, together with her team, her first startup. And then next to me, this is Nil, also participating in the program and also co-founder of Goldfinch, another startup that emerged from the program. But then let's start right into it. Melanie, the first question goes to you. Can you explain us and elaborate a little bit why SEAT has decided to join the program, the mission? What was your motivation behind it?
Yes. So first of all, I want to mention that it's really great to be here on stage because, as you said, it was a 3-month program, but it's actually the first time that we see each other face to face because it was, at least for us at SEAT, we only joined the session digitally, so it's really great. But coming back to your question, why did we actually join? So, yeah, I mean, the car industry is facing its biggest transformation at the moment, and as we are now at the IAA Mobility, it's like a window on how future mobility can look like. We are coming from the IAA in Frankfurt, which was a road show, a motor show based on cars, and now we can see actually so many different kinds of transportation here, so many different solutions, digital innovations, autonomous driving, alternative driving, so the whole range of mobility. And I actually think that no one could really say, even after this week of the IAA Mobility, what future mobility will actually look like. However, it's great that we can see that we can all shape it together. So it's not only a corporate thing. Of course, we at SEAT, we want to be part of this transformation by building sustainable products. But it's also great that we can see that we all have to work together. And also, we as a corporation, we need the help from politics, so they need to set the ground rules like legal frameworks for autonomous driving, charging infrastructure, to name just 2 of it. But in the end, it's not only corporations and it's not only politics, so who else is there? And we need young talents, and that's actually why we joined the mission. We at SEAT, we have by far the youngest customers in Germany, and that leads us, or we are really close to the young generation. And I think that young talents like Nil and Teresa show that they are really keen on changing mobility, and they're not afraid to also take rapid steps to change it. So that's why we joined the mission, because I think that the idea behind it, that we work together with other partners, not only us at SEAT, work together, share our experience, and give a stage for young talents like Nil and Teresa so that they can actually provide new mobility solutions.
Thank you. And maybe coming back to the topic of urban mobility a little bit. So, why is urban mobility in particular of interest for you, SEAT, and what's your kind of viewpoint or approach to urban mobility?
Yeah, I think when it comes to urban mobility, SEAT is a great partner, in my opinion. So, as you said, urbanization is a real big trend. So, more and more people are moving to cities, and that means that the traffic is increasing. That means that the CO2 emissions are increasing. So, actually, 2 of the big global developments, like population and climate change, is moving to the cities. And that leads to that we have to change mobility within the cities. And we at SEAT, we have internalized this. So we already provide plug-in hybrid powertrains that they move and operate within the cities without any local emissions. But also, which is maybe more interesting, we just recently launched our micromobility product or range. And it offers products like e-kick scooters and e-scooters. And this just shows that we at SEAT really believe in this kind of flexible mobility within the cities. Because even we as a car manufacturer, we see that in the city, at least in smaller ones, that the journey within the cities are mostly not longer than 10 kilometers. So even we as a car manufacturer say, okay, we need to provide solutions that fit to the urban mobility.
Thank you. So, Teresa, we just heard Melanie from SEAT saying, okay, it's not just about the industry players and the corporations, the OEMs, but it's also about young talents. But before we start to look into your solution, what you actually develop, I'm interested in what was your goal prior to joining the program? So before you started your journey in becoming an entrepreneur, what did you set out as your personal and professional goal?
Yeah, thanks, Charlie. So also from my side, warm welcome. I'm really excited to be here today. And to your question, I think when I heard that the mission was about urban mobility, I got really excited because for me, mobility is a super relevant and crucial topic to take on. Because when I think of mobility, I don't necessarily think of cars, but for me, all urban sustainable mobility concepts are relevant. New mobility solutions, such as micromobility, emerge, and I think it's super important to take a holistic view on that. And I think I set out to really go into that industry and kind of change it in a way that we really focus on new mobility solutions and integrating them. So I think the biggest challenge with all these new mobility solutions, especially in cities, is to integrate them well, to build infrastructures that they can be operated safely and really give a benefit to the people so they can quickly move from A to B. And with that mindset, I think I joined the mission ready to actively work on new mobility solutions. And I wasn't disappointed.
And can you elaborate a little bit on why you joined the program? Especially, I mean, there are many opportunities out there to go into mobility industry or to look for new solutions. What were the reasons to join the mission program and becoming an entrepreneur?
So I think for me personally, I actually finished my bachelor's degree last year. So freshly coming from university, I was really motivated to finally do hands-on project work. So the mission was actually the perfect, I always call it playground, to kind of try myself out as an entrepreneur, really have a team from really many disciplines coming together, having all the support system with mentoring sessions with Bain & Company, with a lot of corporate partners. So we really had the setting there to get into conversation, to ideate on new ideas, and then finally develop these ideas into real solutions, build prototypes. And I think that's what really, motivated me to join and, made me to have a great time and be on stage now. So I'm really thankful for that.
Nil, same question goes to you. Your goals prior to the program, same one, different ones. How did you approach it?
So also, thank you so much for being here. I'm really excited, and to see as many people is even more exciting. So happy to be here. For me, I had just recently graduated during COVID time, so best set out for a master graduate to start into business. But for me, it was a decision between working in corporate and kind of getting a little bit drained out by the corporate structure, meaning that I always had a lot of energy and was super passionate about changing business, but also changing society. And I knew after graduating, if I start off with pre-startup innovation projects such as Futury and really foster that energy, there would be something coming out completely different, and it happened. And Futury provided me the best network for that.
And kind of did you already have kind of an industry perspective or some expectations when you were thinking about urban mobility?
Right. So it was a little bit different than Teresa's. I already interned in the automotive sector, but I also interned in the healthcare sector. So I had a really different set out to how mobility should look like in the future, really looking into how can I improve the quality of life of people who do not have access to a really good infrastructure that we have in Germany. So that was my background to join the mission.
So now I think we have to talk business now, as we have two founders here on stage. So I think everybody's waiting for the solutions they developed and the startups they founded. So we just want to take a look into it. And here we have the first one. So Nil, as an entrepreneur, you're used to pitching on a stage in front of your audience. Can you give us a little overview, a little pitch, what Goldfinch actually is doing?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm very proud to present to you our software solution that is called Goldfinch. And Goldfinch basically helps logistic companies to integrate drones as potential new vehicles into their fleet management. So that's the very short term of it. But maybe diving a little bit deeper into what we're actually doing to help logistic companies is we have 3 features. One of the features is to really look at the vehicles that the logistic companies are currently using, how much parcel weight they're carrying, how much cost is involved in certain routes, and comparing that whether certain routes and vehicles can be replaced by drones. So that is the first set out that we do. And the second feature that we have here is once our logistic companies set and decide to buy a drone or even rent a drone from our platform, we help them to create the best hub system to basically create a long-term routification of their parcels. So by that, we can have a very sustainable, but at the end also very flexible transportation system. And in future, we set out to have a third feature that we see it's a new technology to drone. So we want to match drone service providers with the logistic companies and a booking platform.
All right, thank you. This more kind of a futurist solution. We're not on the ground, but we're up in the air. So not what you would think of maybe when talking about urban mobility. And now, Teresa, same pitch goes to you, and I'm very curious because I know what you developed, and I think this is something many people can relate to. But please, the stage is yours. What are you doing at Pacelo?
Yes, thank you. So we founded Pacelo with the aim to make kick scooters more usable for everyone. So we want to expand the use case of kick scooters for trips with baggage. So we actually developed a hardware solution, so an add-on baggage component that can be attached to the bottom pole of the kick scooter permanently, and with that we enable the transport of baggage on kick scooters. And the baggage component is it's in a way that it is very robust and strong, so it can carry baggage of up to 35 kilograms, but at the same time it's very transformable, which is crucial to make it flexible. So in a closed state, when it's folded up, it is very space efficient and not in the way when you don't use it. But then when you unfold it, you can actually place any kind of baggage on there, various sizes and shapes. And that, with that solution, we enable urban people to carry their everyday baggage in a safe, comfortable, and still flexible way without having to rely on the car.
And so your solution directly goes to consumers, or you're planning on working with the manufacturers, or what is your view on that?
So actually, our solution is targeted at B2B companies. So we want to address e-scooter sharing providers, but also e-scooter retailers, because we believe that they are the right people to then give our product to the end user, the e-scooter riders. And I think the e-scooter companies can really profit from that solution, because currently kick scooters are very limited in their usability. Mostly they are used for short leisure rides, but not more. So for many people, they don't really see a use case for kick scooters and are maybe annoyed by them because they are in the city or they're so much around. So with our approach, we really want to include everyone. So everyone who's struggling to carry their baggage in the city for short distances can use that kick scooter, to really solve the struggle of carrying stuff. And I think that can really be a benefit for the e-scooter companies selling it.
So no more acrobatic moves in the future on the e-scooters, I think we all know. So great solution, thank you. Melanie, coming back, after having heard like 2 very different solutions, one which is kind of everybody can relate to because it's end consumer business, and then Nil presented us a solution that is showing logistic companies how to operate drones kind of in a futuristic scenario, not that futuristic as many might think, but different ones. How relevant are the solutions to you at SEAT, and what can and maybe will you take out of them?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I have to say that during the mission, we didn't want to find a solution just for us at SEAT. So it was always about the ideas the teams had. And as you said, totally different solutions, which I think just shows the variety of mobility solutions out there. But actually, and obviously, we as SEAT could more easily relate to Pacelo's solution, since, as I just mentioned, with our SEAT Mo brand, we offer e-kick scooters. And as Teresa just said, it's just a great added value to e-kick scooters. And so I was actually quite happy that we really could help you and your team and provide you with expert knowledge from our side. We connected you with our product development department and also shared knowledge about the micromobility market. So that was really great to help you there. And yeah, as for Goldfinch, I think it's just great. So obviously, no one thinks, okay, SEAT and Goldfinch could be a match. But I think this just shows, yeah, like I already said, how various the ideas were. And I think that also just shows that there is not only anymore one solution fits all solution like a car for mobility. So actually there are so many different possibilities, and we need to think more in an intermodal way. So it's intermodal mobility. And yeah, actually, when you think about the user journeys within cities, they are so totally different. So you have the short distances to restaurants, when you go to sports, also the B2B and last mile delivery, which is really important. So I think the ideas, the both of them, they just show that we actually, in the future, we have to connect everything together. And that's actually the transformation we need to go and we need to have. And to combine everything, in the best case, with a digital or technology platform that it's really seamlessly connected.
Thank you. So, Teresa and Nil, now we heard about your startups, what you did during the last almost 7 months now. So you're co-founder of a very early stage startup. Do you, Nil, maybe you want to start, do you have an already idea on how you're going to continue with the startup, how your next steps will look like, and maybe, as we are at the IAA Mobility, maybe some investors, first customers might be here who want to listen what you're planning on?
Yeah, I mean, of course, my co-founders and I are very driven and passionate to basically see the future in the air. And we have the best investors for that, I must say. In the beginning, we are working with the Deutsche Flugsicherung, and we also actually piloted our first prototype together with CUPRA, as you may have heard before. So really, we took the 3 months very seriously, and our aim for the future is take the next 2 years, pilot our first and second prototype. We already have 3 logistic companies that are very big partners also for us and in conversations with that to pilot that. But of course, we're always looking out for other new innovators in the logistics industry to collaborate with us. And the goal, of course, is after the 2 years to consider VC funding, or other opportunities.
But I've heard you all also already have a success to celebrate. You're part of the Holm. Can you maybe explain us what the Holm is and what your role will be within the Holm?
I mean, actually, my 2 co-founders are sitting there, and they just pitched it yesterday, and I'm super proud of them. So we just are joining as a startup the House of Logistics and Mobility, which will be a 2 years support and funding project where we can actually not only get an office for ourselves, but also create a network with big players from logistics industry, which is, of course, very important to us, but also together with Pacelo, which is quite nice. We also joined the Hessen Ideenstipendium recently, and that's very exciting.
That sounds great. So you have a great, let's call it home or hub that you can now use as your launch pad for the future. Yeah. Teresa, can you also elaborate a little bit or explain us a little bit about your next steps, what you're planning on with Pacelo?
Yes, sure. So I think for us it's a bit different compared to Goldfinch, as our solution is very tangible. Some might think like, oh, that's so easy, why did no one think of that? Currently, there's no such solutions on the market that are as high functioning and flexible as ours. So I think for us, it's super important to go to the market quick and then scale the product to really be successful with it. And the first crucial milestone that we have coming next is actually filing the patent. So we want to file a patent for the solution. Actually, on the picture, you cannot see the product yet because we're not allowed to show it. That's just a mock-up of how the solution looked like. We're going to file the patent to then pave the way to really talk to partners, talk to the first B2B customers, so we can really arrange the market entry that we plan for July next year. So for us, we will also finalize the product as we have a working prototype now, but of course need to finalize details and then start the first production of the first product batch. And I think I think that all startups struggle with that, is of course funding. So for us as an early stage startup, filing a patent and producing the product is actually the first major obstacle to receive funding for that. So we were really happy to get support by Hessen, the Hessen Ideen Accelerator, who's providing us with funding, but of course always looking for sponsors like SEAT, industry leaders who want to support in this small solution, so we can really go to the market in July 2022 then.
All right, so we can maybe all look forward maybe from next year on to find the first prototypes to be tested on the streets?
Definitely. So we're definitely planning a pilot project. It's great, for example, to be in touch with industry leaders like SEAT who have a micromobility product portfolio. But we are, of course, also in conversation with other sharing providers or other scooter retailers who we can then test our product with, as we believe it's really well suitable also for the first and last mile. So coming back to my argument in the beginning that we want to combine all different modes of transport, I think it can really, it's a simple but very valuable and effective way to upgrade the kick scooters to make them more usable and by this more sustainable than for everyone.
All right, thank you. So coming, unfortunately, a little to the end of our panel, but one point that is very important that we should, I think, talk about a little bit. We, in the, you could call it startup industry, are explaining all the time why it's so important to have more and more female founders and more entrepreneurial talents, more women. And so as our panel today is curated by Women in Mobility, I'm said it in the beginning, more than happy to have you here and to have 3 women that actually ventured into a program, into new ideas, new solution, very innovative. So in the end, and the question goes to all 3 of you, what were major learnings during that innovative journey, becoming an entrepreneur, developing new solutions, maybe professionally? We talked about that a little bit, but also personally. So maybe, Melanie, you want to start. What were your major learnings during the last 6 months?
Yeah, actually, I think my personal and professional experience goes more or less hand in hand here. I have to say I really like to work with the teams from the beginning on, and it was so great to see, it was really inspirational how passionate you were about your projects from the beginning. And I mean, you don't know this, but you didn't know each other, so right? And now you just get together, you create companies together now and hopefully have a bright future with the companies. And this even, it was only 3 months. So, and I think this was really inspirational for me. And actually also in more professional way, it was good for me to get out of my day-to-day business, and it was just great to see what you can do when you have an idea, and I think the mission was just a great environment for that, to be innovative together. And yeah, this was a great experience for me.
Thank you. Nil, maybe if we have some potential or actual female founders, what would be your advice, major learnings on the way, on the journey of becoming an entrepreneur?
Yes, I mean, also I want to use this opportunity to say that every female founder, especially in the mobility field where we do not see a lot of women, should really run through it and really think themselves as bosses and entrepreneurs. And actually Futury really helped me to uncover my potential, because if you really have a drive to change something in this industry, I think you're really good to go as an entrepreneur, personally.
Thank you. Teresa, can you relate to that?
Yeah, definitely. So I have to say, actually, it wasn't like I always knew I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I don't know, maybe some people have it, I didn't. I kind of stumbled across the opportunity and then really enjoyed it, so I just kept going. But I think a major learning for me was kind of like, I'm a person who likes to control things, so for me it was really hard to understand, okay, in the startup world you simply cannot control everything. So things are just gonna pop up, you just kind of have to trust in the progress, trust in your team, trust in your own capabilities, and I think that was a really valuable learning, that if you are ready to set yourself out there and go for it, that things will come naturally and everything's gonna fall into place. So I think this really helped me to be way more open about my approach, about tackling things I've never done before. And yeah, here I am, and it's still fun, so I can really recommend it to everyone.
Thank you. And before we coming to your questions that you might have, maybe one last remark from my side. So from Future, we are offering these programs and helping people to jointly develop not only new solutions, but then becoming entrepreneurs. And this is what we often hear is like you have to be a natural born entrepreneur, which we don't believe in. And what you both just said, it's you have to have the passion, but then it's also trust the process, stick to the process, and you can also learn it. And you don't have to be a kind of a born entrepreneur, what people always tell you. So please, for all of you listening here or via the live stream, take the chance, go out there, look for partners, and really take the opportunity. Now we're coming to the questions from the audience, and we have a microphone here. So if you have any questions to the topic in general, to Melanie from SEAT, to our two founders, Teresa and Nil, please feel free to ask any questions you might have. So you can just like raise your hand and start off, and the microphone will then come to you. Yeah, here's one.
Thank you. So first of all, thank you for this great and interesting panel discussion. One question I have actually for all of you is that besides SEAT, there were named a lot of partners on the slides. So how does this collaboration actually work within the program, like for you as founders and young talents, but also for SEAT together with all the partners? Because it seems quite complex to bring all these expertises together.
Melanie, maybe a question directly to you.
Yeah, I can start. Yeah, it's a good question because actually I was in the beginning, I thought it was really great that so many different partners within the mobility sector were coming together with so many different experiences. And yeah, it seems that it was quite difficult to communicate, but I think that Futury did actually a really good job in handling that for us. So we were really close working together, and I think it was more of the teams that they could go to us actually and ask us directly, we need your help, and we tried to communicate in like a close manner together with them. And also, but within the partners, so we also collaborated with them and tried to really help in the best way we could to push the team's ideas.
Yeah, and maybe I can add to that as the team who collaborated with the company or the corporate partners. It was actually very cool to kind of be in a setting where the corporate partners already kind of know the overall topic. They are looking positive towards you, and then you have like the direct access. So we really appreciated that we could reach out directly to the corporate partners and really, yeah, get their expertise on things. Of course, it was sometimes like challenging because like as a small startup, you operate super fast and you kind of make a million decisions in 1 week. So kind of 1 week in a startup might be like a month at a corporate partner or maybe even more. So I think it's a challenge to kind of balance that timing and to really like find a good way to cooperate there. But then in the end, it's super valuable as a young startup because industry leaders already know the industry, they know the people, and it's a great door opener also to really reach the right people and progress way faster than without corporate partners.
And maybe also to add to that, I mean, you don't really lose the partnerships that you create during the Futury program. So this is super interesting, maybe also for you to know. We started off with mentoring from Bain & Company, who have been really the neutral side of things and really also kind of coaching us a little bit. And I'm still and my co-founders as well, we're very much in good contact with them, and we still have mentoring sessions. At the same time, talking eye to eye to Tom Plimmer from CUPRA, who has also just recently almost founded his startup, was also kind of a crucial experience to also get his entrepreneurial spirit into our team. So just to add, you still remain quite close to your partners, even if they cannot fund you. They are very important in terms of strategic outlook and future.
All right, thank you. Do we have any more questions to the teams, the founders, to our corporate partner about the program? Anything you want to know? We have time for, I think, 2 more questions should be okay. No questions arising. There's one here on the right side.
I mean, just as I mentioned, I was just so happy to have you all here with us. But just from your personal point of view, is there anything you will want to see in the future that has an impact on founders, especially on female founders? Do you have any ideas how to improve this whole process? I think you probably knows the best about this.
Any ideas? What would you change or improve?
I think what's a big topic with female founding is always that like females tend to not believe in themselves as much as men do, for example. So actually, if you look in the startup scene, there's so much more male founders. And I actually experienced the same for me, like always having doubts and like thinking maybe I'm not good enough to do that, or maybe other people can do it better. So I think what's crucial, and more of these opportunities actually emerge, to have like a really support system, like an accelerator program, regular mentoring sessions that kind of, give you the confidence to keep going, to kind of push you beyond these small downs that you will always face, to really like, continue doing it and to not give up on it. And I think there it's also really valuable to have, for example, female mentors who can kind of relate to these kind of struggles and push you forward. And I'm really happy that we have found this in our mentors, Bain & Company, and more other mentors. And I think that really helps me personally to keep going and to enjoy it.
But I completely agree, but also for women, if you also don't doubt yourself, it's so crucial to have the environment also from your male colleagues and your investors to really believe in you, give us room to speak. I often had the situations I was underestimated because I didn't have an engineering background, but my team, Marvin, Anurag, and also my second female co-founder, Natalia, really helped me to get a word to speak. So give us the time to speak. That's all I'm saying to investors, and we're smart enough and tough enough to explain the business model as well.
Yeah, and maybe just to add from my perspective, so I was so happy to be invited here on the stage and to talk to the 3 of you. I think what's really important also to have role models and to show those role models, like stages that we have here on the IAA, to show, yes, there are female founders in the mobility sector and they have great solutions to offer, and then who can also inspire others to follow them. So thanks again that you are here. Do we have one last question from the audience? We're running a bit out of time. We have a few minutes left. One question should be okay. Another one here in the front row, first row.
Thank you. My last question is also kind of to the spirit of the IAA this year. It's not only about like showing solutions and showing cars, for example, but also going beyond this in regards to sustainability. So which role plays sustainability actually in your solutions?
Maybe I can start. So I think when you mention kick scooters, people are instantly like, it's sustainable, I don't know. But I think the major problem with kick scooters is actually their battery, which they are improving now. But also we saw like the biggest gap there. So when you look at the micromobility market, there are cargo bikes already, but the kick scooters are so limited in their use cases. So we actually saw this existing product and thought, okay, let's upgrade it so it can actually be used for more trips with baggage. And I think that's the major sustainable thought that we put into the solution. But of course, yeah, by this we empower the people to kind of go away from the personal car, but to use, for example, the kick scooter to do their groceries, to do intermodal traveling, to run their errands. And of course, also for product development, we really pay attention to sustainable product development. So the components, for example, are not glued together, but you can like remove them, so you can recycle them. The product is easily repairable. So these are all kind of things that we take into consideration just because we believe in sustainability as a crucial value for us in founding. So that's part of the process, and actually, yeah, every single step that we take.
Yeah, maybe to add to our solution, sustainability is actually the main driver why we're doing this. We looked into our user testing in the logistics sector, and we saw that actually when it comes to urgent delivery, companies are willing to send out a helicopter with a person just to send out the spare part, I don't know, 100 kilometers to the next place and spend $1 million. And what we really want to do is make the future logistic flexible. So if you have a small parcel that is only the size of a shoe and weighs not more than 3 kilograms, why don't you use another vehicle? Then you use a truck and you only have that spare part in it. So what we actually really in our feature show the logistics companies, and they're very much interested in it because they take sustainability nowadays serious, is to actually compare the types of vehicle to the parcels they can send out. So I'm not saying that the drone is the most sustainable vehicle, it is just that every vehicle has to be used in an optimal way, especially when we come to last mile delivery in logistics.
All right, thank you. So, unfortunately, we have to come to an end. I have to say a big thank you to Melanie, Teresa, and Nil for joining here on the stage, explaining, giving some insights on what you did in the program. And I think I'm going to repeat myself, great role models when it comes to women in mobility and what you can do and what you can, in which solutions you can really deep dive and foster innovation here. Thank you for joining this panel today. Thank you for coming here, and I wish all of you a great remaining day and a great IAA conference. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This way, please. Thank you. Thank you. We are setting up for our next panel about mobility services at 2 o'clock. If you want to come back, if you want to bring your friends, your colleagues, your teams, a random stranger you met just in the hallway, bring them all. We would love to have you back in the audience. See you in a bit. Thank you.